Hello and welcome to Sunflower Philosophy Tarot. My name is Juliana, and today's pick a card reading is just some compliments that you need to hear right now. So, we are tapping into why you are amazing, why you're wonderful, and what you really need to hear to know how amazing and wonderful you are, to confirm how amazing and wonderful you are, and to get you in alignment with your truest and best self, and to know that you already are that person. So, that's what we're doing. I wanted to be quick, but we'll see. So I have 4 groups today, and actually before we get into the groups, as usual, I want to do a little centering exercise. Of course, you can always skip to the reading and, check the timestamps below to do so, but if you want to stick around to just have a few minutes to get grounded, to breathe together, and to center yourself before you get into the readings or into the group selection, stick around. We'll get that started right now. So, those of you who are joining me for the centering exercise, please settle yourself in and take a comfortable seat. Of course, if you are in the middle of driving or doing anything that requires your attention, maybe don't participate and come back at a later time when you are not occupied. But those of you who are able to, please settle in. If you feel called to, close your eyes and just turn your attention to your breathing. And in today's reading, we are focusing all on you and how amazing you are. But I know sometimes it's easier to receive that than others. And at this time, I just want you to turn your attention within yourself. And as you notice your breathing, just notice if it is deep or shallow, fast or slow, and allow whatever's happening in your body to happen, just knowing that you are perfect just as you are right now, no matter what you're feeling or experiencing, no matter who you are, where you've been, where you're going. None of that matters. You just are as you are right now. If you feel called to, bring your attention to the space between your eyes, your eyebrows, into that space that many would refer to as the third eye. And just imagine in your third eye that you can see yourself right now, as if you're looking at another person. Perhaps you are looking at yourself through the eyes of someone in your life who loves you, who cares about you. And allow yourself to see yourself now as if you are seeing yourself from their perspective. Imagine what you're doing. Imagine what it looks like you are feeling in this moment. Let it come to you and just notice how you feel when you're looking at yourself. Just see what comes up, no matter what it is. And know that as you're looking through the eyes of someone who loves you, whether it is a person you know in your life or simply from a third-party perspective that doesn't even have a name or identity, you can feel a sense of compassion, a sense of unconditional love growing for the person that you are observing right now. And you feel this sensation of love growing in your body, in your heart space, as now you may turn your attention to your heart space and allow this sensation of unconditional love to grow. And open up to the concept that no matter what you do, no matter who you are, no matter what you look like, what you bring to the table, no matter what you perceive as your flaws, if any, no matter what you've been told about yourself, you are so much more than any of that. Even the most wonderful things about you, even the compliments we will give you in this reading, can never sum up or appropriately define all that you are. And you can accept yourself fully as part of a much bigger, much more beautiful picture than you may even perceive at this moment. But you can feel it, and you can take this feeling with you throughout the rest of your day and throughout the rest of your life. Whenever you tune back in to this image of yourself, to this feeling of unconditional love, know that that is part of who you are. Always. And that now concludes our brief centering exercise, but you can continue to imagine yourself from this perspective, focus on your breathing, focus on your heart space throughout the entire reading, throughout the rest of your day. I hope that you enjoyed this exercise, and I hope that you're ready to join me in the rest of the reading. All right, so thank you to anyone who joined me for the centering exercise, and we are now ready to get into the group selection. So as you can see, I have 4 groups for you here today, and we have, first of all, group 1 here with this smoky quartz crystal. We have group 2 with, I believe this is a hematite. It's a magnetic crystal. We have group 3 with this malachite. And we have group 4 with this blue obsidian, or is it clear blue obsidian? I'm actually forgetting exactly what they call it. I believe it is actually glass, but it's beautiful nonetheless, and I quite love this crystal, so they're all beautiful. Now, feel free to select based on the crystals, based on the cards you see here, based on the timestamps. Your intuition is always the key, so just follow that, trust it, and of course, as always, take messages that resonate, leave what doesn't, although, of course, in this case, we're complimenting you, so if you just feel like you don't know how to take a compliment, just take the compliment, all right? All right? All right? Okay. But nonetheless, I look forward to seeing you in your reading, and go down to the timestamps in the description or the pinned comment and meet me over there. Hi Group 1, if you selected the smoky quartz, then you're in the right place, and this is your reading with compliments for you today to help you align with your best self and just recognize what's amazing about you. So for this reading, I've selected your cards. I have 2 tarot cards here. I intended to get one, but things never go exactly as planned, so a few groups have more than 1 card, but what can you do? And then I also have these 4 quote cards as well. So we're going to flip them over, we're going to talk about it, we're going to get into compliments, we're just going to, jump right in. So for your tarot cards, we have the Knight of Pentacles and the Wheel of Fortune. And for your quote cards, we have these cute little otters with the quote, "We are game-playing, fun-having creatures. We are the otters of the universe." From Illusions by Richard Bach. We also have this card, little tie-dye here, with "You have only one life. Make the most of it." From Holes by Louis Sachar. That's a book, which if you are around my age, you probably read in school and also saw the movie. And we have this card with... "In reality, there are no separate events. Life moves along like water. It's all connected to the source of the river, is connected to the mouth and the ocean." I think I wrote that wrong, but it's basically like, it's all connected. The source of the river is connected to the mouth and the ocean. Okay, and then we have this card here with the eyes and the heart. And it says, "Where love is great, the littlest doubts are fear. Where little fears grow great, great love grows there." From Hamlet by William Shakespeare. Oh, and this quote over here is from Alan Watts. Okay, so these are just not going to lie flat because they are covered in ink and watercolors, but and they are cheap index cards. But immediately what I'm getting is that Spirit wants to really compliment you on your patience, your resilience, your ability to flow with the cycles of life, and to trust that everything in your life, everything that's happening, every step that you're taking is somehow connected, is meaningful in some way, even if you can't always see the outcome, even if you can't see the future, even if you don't know how to make sense of certain things in the present moment. You are very good at just continuing on. You just keep going, you keep moving forward, and you don't stop. You're being complimented on your ability to have fun, your ability to be playful with life, even as you are moving forward and making progress on your journey, even as you are hoping potentially to realize certain dreams of yours, even if for a lot of you, I feel like maybe some things have taken a while to come to fruition, or you feel like you're in the middle of a long journey, you find ways to make the most of it. And I'm actually getting the specific scenario of, for example, someone who's on a long road trip, even like a child in the backseat of a car, and it's a long road trip and maybe there's not a lot to do, but this kid is looking out the window and imagining, like, I don't know if you ever did this when you were little too, but like imagining like creatures running alongside the car, like looking at billboards and like counting, how many you see that are for a certain thing or whatever. Looking at license plates of cars and making up acronyms with the letters on the back, like, you know how to make your own fun. You know how to make the most of every moment, no matter how quote unquote boring it might seem from the outside. I think that you have a really rich inner life, and you're able to make things interesting that not everyone has the imagination to do. Like, you really do make the most of life, and it's not, for a lot of you, I mean, maybe part of it is you have gone on a lot of grand adventures, maybe traveling, because I was getting the road trip example, maybe traveling is a big part of it. But I actually feel for a lot of you, it's not because you are out there going on these grand adventures, or even that you necessarily have always had the means to live a quote-unquote big or interesting life. It's that you have fun with the little things, the little moments, the day-to-day, the situations where maybe even things are difficult or boring or drawn out, or even, maybe you're going, like in the road trip example, maybe you're taking a road trip not because of something fun, but maybe there's something that you have to take care of, that your family has to take care of or whatever. Things that are maybe circumstances outside of your control that you still were able to and still are able to find the light in, find the fun in, find the good in. I feel that that is something that the universe really wants to compliment you on. I also feel like you're very resourceful in this way. So resourceful in the sense of finding the lightness and the fun in all different kinds of moments in life, but also resourceful potentially in just the very material, physical way of being resourceful with your time, resourceful with your, with things in your life. Like the example of someone who maybe hasn't had a lot monetarily growing up, or even in general now, who can create wonderful things out of not a lot. Not a lot of supplies. Like, you know where to go to find the best deals, to make things happen with the resources that you have, that not everyone could do. Not everyone would have the ingenuity and the creativity to make happen, but you can make it happen. And maybe this has manifested in your life already in a way where you've maybe made something of yourself from quote unquote nothing. Like, maybe you do actually have that story of coming from very humble beginnings and growing yourself into someone who has the means, has the resources for greater, for bigger, just more easily. I would say that, you could be someone who really doesn't need to have a lot on paper to make great things happen, to have a lot of fun. And you don't need to be doing a lot or going a lot of places or having a lot of connections or friends to make something happen. I feel like that's what you're being complimented on here, is that you don't need that. But maybe you have created that life for yourself. And if you haven't, if you're working towards creating that life for yourself, I feel like it's inevitable. It's only a matter of time that will come about. But also, regardless, I do feel like you're someone who has the ability to be satisfied with where you are now and welcome in the possibility of new things in the future that might be, and maybe even through the attitude of being able to just be like, I like where I am now. I like what I have. I like what I've created. I know how to have fun with what I have. You definitely don't have a scarcity mindset. And I'm not saying that you never have. I'm not saying that you don't have bad days or hard days, but I think overall you really do have this wonderful sense that you have everything you need. You know how you can make anything into something, and you do. And you're willing to take your time and be patient about it. And I do feel that it's possible you have experienced even a lot of doubts or anxieties in your life, even when it's interesting how sometimes these things can coexist, right? It's possible that you have developed this ability, this satisfaction with life, this ingenuity, this creativity over time, this ability to enjoy the little moments, to enjoy where you're at over time, because you have experienced a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear, a lot of maybe even difficulty loving your life. So for those of you who feel like you haven't always recognized this within yourself, because maybe you've experienced a lot of anxiety, a lot of difficulty, and a lot of difficulty maybe even enjoying life, the fact that you have grown this ability, the fact that you've, it's so much greater for the fact that you had this experience where you know what it's like to experience levels of doubt and fear that made you, pushed you, but also inspired you to cultivate, to focus on your sense of satisfaction in the moment, your sense of presence. I think that you have had to work at that, have had to cultivate that and create that. And that in and of itself, it's funny because you needed to have that in you already in order to cultivate it. It's almost like you might have experienced yourself as the opposite of some of the things I'm saying for a lot of your life. But yet, because this aspect was always there, the potential was always there, you grew from that. You grew through that into someone who is very good at just, like I said, resilience, persistence, resourcefulness, creativity, imagination, enjoying life just moment to moment, and also having a really impressive grasp on the greater perspective of how life is connected, how all the events in life flow into one another, how energies move and flow and change in a way that makes perfect sense from a broader perspective, even though from the human perspective in the moment, we can't always see that. I feel like you have had experiences that have honed this aspect of you in this lifetime. And it's very powerful. I feel like you are, I don't even want to say it like this, but I feel like you're way ahead of a lot of maybe your peers, a lot of people in your vicinity in this area of life satisfaction, of the ability to flow and move with life and to allow things to just unfold and happen and to enjoy the process in the meantime. This patience that you have, this ability to just keep going. I do feel like maybe where you're at right now, not a lot of other people have demonstrated that they have this in them, right? Which everyone's on their own path, and it's not about comparing yourself to others, right? I think you know that. I don't think you're someone who feels the need to do that, because I feel like, and again, we all have our hard days. Maybe you don't always feel like you embody this. That's not the point, though. The point is that this is very much within you, and it is something that you have actively cultivated, and you do have access to most of the time. And it's a really wonderful and admirable trait. And even when you don't feel that way, part of the ability of resilience is, it's not that you never experience difficulty, it's that you keep coming back. You have a difficulty, you have a moment, you have a bad day, you have things that happen, and you experience it, and you come back from it, and you just keep going. It's it's hard to sometimes even see from our own internal experience how resilient we are, how impressive it is what we're doing, because to us it's just how we live. At a certain point, the way that we are just becomes normal. But I do feel like there might be a lot of people around you who, if they do recognize this in you, they are impressed by it, maybe even a little intimidated by it. And you might not know that, because I feel like what the qualities that I'm explaining with regards to you, it's not always something that maybe people can voice or even know what it is that they're sensing in you. It's something that goes a bit deeper than we spend our day-to-day thinking about, but it's something that people can feel, I think, sense, and appreciate, whether they have the words to understand what it is that they're appreciating about you or not. And it's really beautiful. And let's see, what else is there here? Yeah, I mean, I just feel like you're someone who doesn't need great success to make the most of your life. You don't need something out in the future to define you, to give you confidence in yourself. You might want that, and sometimes you might feel more drawn to pursuing a future goal than others, and you probably do have things that you are pursuing. You have things that you are moving towards, but I don't feel like you feel like you need that in order to have a good life. I feel like you're mastering, or have mastered, living the good life now and being excited about the life that you are creating and the life that you will create in the future. And you have an increased confidence that no matter what happens, no matter the semantics of your life, no matter the monetary value that you may or may not cultivate for yourself, no matter the home situation, no matter the career, no matter the relationship status, or any of the superficial things that people can measure their lives on, you have this ability to, again, just be satisfied with what you have, eager for more, and yet playful with the things that you already, like, you kind of have that that mastery of being able to let go and not needing anything more than what you have, which in turn will bring in a lot of wonderful things for you, and will bring in the ability to, no matter where you are and where you're at, experience life in a wonderful way. That may look like, I've striven to be very successful. It may look like you may reach a point, or have reached a point, where you are, to the outside perspective, very successful, and people might look at you and be like, oh, well, of course they're happy, they've got all this money, or of course they're happy, they've got this amazing, family life, or whatever it is. But inside of you that it's not it's not about what's on the outside. It's what you've cultivated inside you that has led you and brought you to these things, but also allows you to even enjoy this life that you've opened up to invite it in, no matter what it looked like on the outside of you. It's like you took a look at life, and when life looked scary and frightening and negative and like something you wanted to run away from, it's kind of like, I'm getting How to Train Your Dragon, Toothless, when Hiccup, that's his name, right? Hiccup, the Viking kid, when he meets Toothless, the dragon, and the dragon's like injured and it looks scary, right? And then he's been taught and raised his whole life to fear it, right? But he sees that it's injured, and he can't bring himself to hurt it or kill it like he's been trained to. So he faces his fear, and he's like, okay, like, I'm gonna trust you. And he feeds the dragon, and he actually has that moment where he covers his eyes because he doesn't want to look, but he reaches out to pet it, right? And it's almost like that's your relationship with life, where when life looked scary and impossible, and maybe you were even taught to fear aspects of life, taught to fear just even living a satisfying life, or taught to fear any way that you were taught to fear, you still, you reached out and you trusted that life wasn't actually as scary as you were taught to believe. You reached out and you were afraid, but you reached out to nurture it anyway. And that has brought you this ability to meet life wherever it's at, and to, oh my gosh, I'm getting so emotional, guys. Oh no. But yeah, and life in turn has nurtured you back, and it's so beautiful. And I feel like you can bring that energy to anything or anyone. I'm just getting from that you might be someone who's a very understanding person who can connect with almost anyone because of this quality, who doesn't judge by appearances, who's patient and allows things to unfold because you understand that everything that's been put in front of you has been put in front of you for a reason, and you trust it. And that allows you to be kind and understanding and patient and gentle with yourself, with others, and with life in general, in a way that you don't always get to see reflected back to you, but it's wonderful and beautiful. And I think if you want to witness more of that around you in the world, it's only a matter of time before you do. But I also think you know that you don't need that in order to be the way that you are. Oh, it's so wonderful. Wow. Wow, that's amazing. Okay. I'm just gonna shuffle up my song cards now for any closing messages, because I like to do a closing message. It just feels like we need a little closure sometimes. Let's see if we can get a song card. Close it out. Oh. Let's see, we'll put that one back in for now. One fell on the floor. Oh, guys, this is such a wonderful energy. I hope you know that. Okay, whoa. All right, so a few closing messages. Interesting. All right, we have Meant to Live by Switchfoot and No Light, No Light by Florence and the Machine. I'm going to read this one first, No Light, No Light. So we have, you want a revelation, you want to get it right, but it's a conversation I just can't have tonight. You want a revelation, some kind of resolution. Tell me what you want me to say. And then for Meant to Live by Switchfoot, we have, we were meant to live for so much more. Have we lost ourselves? Somewhere we live inside. And I feel like these are your closing messages because of the in both of these songs are kind of asking a question that remains unanswered. In this case, it's more of a rhetorical question, but it's like, and I feel like that's maybe something that you felt for a long time. Like maybe there are things that you've been asking for or you do want. Like I said, you know how to be satisfied with your life. You know how to meet life where it's at. But that doesn't mean you never want anything, right? That doesn't mean you never want answers or you don't have curiosities or desires. And it's not about, getting rid of those altogether or judging yourself when you do have them. But I do feel like there is the aspect of you, like I said, that's being highlighted where you don't need those answers. You are able to return to yourself. You are able to be at peace with yourself while you're waiting for the answer to come. And so I think a lot of you might have a lot of experience with that, and you are good at being patient with that. And so there may be some things that you're looking for resolution to. And this is a reminder and an encouragement to tap into your ability to be playful with the moment, to be resourceful and creative, and create your own joy and create your own satisfaction. And expect that the answers that you seek will come to you along the way. Remember and recall how everything flows into everything, right? So you are being just like a river flowing. You are being like those otters on this card, right? You are letting that river take you. You are flowing with that current. That river is taking you where you need to go, and things will become clear. Everything will make sense. So when you do find yourself getting caught up in your head, getting caught up in things that you feel like you don't know, that you need clarification on, just remember that this is your greatest strength, that you are already good at just flowing with the river, at being playful and lighthearted, at making your fun and making your joy and making something out of nothing. Just keep doing that. You already have that in you. And sometimes you just need to be redirected back into yourself, right? Back into that ability that's gotten you so far. And remember how amazing you are and how, in a way, that's already your destination, right? The things that you want will come. And you know this. You just might need that reminder. And So it will come to you, and there's nothing that you need to do or figure out. You are already doing it, right? And I feel like the meant to live one is almost something that you, maybe an insecurity that you have, that sometimes you feel like you're not doing enough or you're not where you should be. But this is to say that you are on that path. Let it unfold. Keep stepping into the you that you've already built for yourself, right? You are this person. What a beautiful energy that we've tapped into. This is a reassurance that you are that person, that even if you question yourself sometimes, even if you wonder if you are living up to your potential, you're on that road. You don't have to do it all in one day. Remember that you're this Knight of Pentacles. You're chugging along, and the wheel of fate is turning for you. And just keep going. Let that wheel turn, and be like that kid on the long car ride where, you can use your imagination to make things more interesting, to have fun, to enjoy yourself, and keep doing that. I think you already are. This is highlighting that is such a strength for you, that a lot of people get stuck or lost here. But while you might visit this doubt, you might visit this fear, you might visit this uncertainty from time to time, you never ever stay there. And I think this is also something that maybe you wish others could experience as well, but it's not up to you to make anyone feel any kind of way. That's not on you. Just keep being you. Keep living your life. And, if there are people who are meant to get that wisdom from you, they will. They'll be brought to you along your river. So, beautiful. I'm going to see if there's just one more song that wants to come out, though. Because I was feeling incomplete here. So, for group one last compliment to close it out before we move on. One last closing message. That's a lot, so we're not going to take that. One song, please. One more? No? Girl? That's too many. One more, please. One more. No. One more. I feel like there's one specific song. Come on, Spirit. Okay. Yeah. Last one. Fix me by 10 years. I'm fine in the fire. I feed on the friction. I'm right where I should be. Don't try and fix me. Yeah. You're right where you should be. Nothing about you needs to be fixed or changed or adjusted or adapted. You are making a wonderful, amazing progress in your life. And you've just cultivated such a beautiful world perspective. And it doesn't matter if you see that reflected back at you. It doesn't matter if anyone else around you understands that. This is a reminder that you are right where you should be. You don't need anyone to fix you, anything to change you. You're very good at letting life do that in its proper course, because I feel like you've practiced it. You've practiced that. For your best well-being, for your highest potential, you're already doing everything you need to do. You already have the tools. So, amazing, beautiful, powerful. We love it. Okay, so I will close it out here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that resonated. Please comment and let me know if it did. And also like, subscribe, do all the things if you want to. And also if you're interested in a personal reading or in hypnosis or human design, we also offer those. So we offer those on our website, sunflowerphilosophy.com. I'll link that below in the description. But thank you so much again, and I hope you have a wonderful life, and I will see you in another reading again sometime very soon. Bye! Hi, Group 2. If you selected this magnetic hematite, I believe is what it is, then you are in the right place, and this is your reading with compliments for you to remind you how amazing you are and get you in touch with the best of you, because you are the best. And I loved the energy in group 1. I am so glad I decided to do this reading. It's super fun. Let's just get right into it. I've pre-selected your cards, and then we'll get some song cards to close out at the end. But let's start with your tarot cards. So we have the 10 of Cups and the 9 of Wands. And I'm going to put the 9 of Wands on this side, the 10 of Cups on that side, because 9, 10, that makes a lot of sense. And we also have these 4 quotes, so I will read them. So first we have this little image of these 2 people hugging, very cute, very sweet. We have, welcome home, welcome back. We missed you, I missed you, more than I should have, more than I wanted to. I went to hell for you, I would do it again. From Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo. We have this card here, which says, thus, not to see the unity of self and other is the fear of life, and not to see the unity of being and non-being is the fear of death. From Alan Watts. We have this card here with, I don't think I knew I was lonely until I met you. From People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. I already love this energy so much. And then we have this card here with, such an easy thing to be liked. All you had to do was make sure people didn't know you. And I'm going to actually put this on this side, this on this side. Actually, I'm going to do it like this. Yeah. Okay. Okay, group 2. So, compliments that we want to be bringing you today definitely pertain to, I think, some of the things that you've been through and maybe come back from in your life. I feel like you've maybe been through it. With this 9 of Wands here, I feel like there's a lot in your past that was difficult. And the semantics will be different for everyone, but I feel like what's being highlighted is how you've come back from so much. And with this 10 of Cups here, you've created a beautiful future for yourself. I don't know if you feel like you're living in that right now or if it's yet to reveal itself to you. I feel like for a lot of you, though, it's almost like night and day, the world that you're living in now versus what you were living in the past. And I feel like a lot of what you've been through, it's been just, things that have happened that just, life happens, right? And sometimes even for some of you, maybe just the situation you were born into is very different than what you've created for yourself now. I do feel for some of you, there might have also been, I'm hearing almost like a quote unquote fall from grace moment where maybe you went through a difficult cycle where you maybe fell out with an old version of you, an old version of life. You went through a dark place, maybe even in your life left behind a home or people who loved you, or disconnected from the love of friends and others who cared for you, going through a difficult time, and have reconnected and come back around and rebuilt yourself back up into something, new. Like, you'll never be the same, right? We all grow and change, and sometimes we grow and change in really difficult ways, but even if it's not as difficult, we still come out on the other side of life different than before. And there's nothing wrong with that. It might be hard sometimes to embrace that, but at the same time, that is how life goes. And you may have reconnected with a part of you that you had left behind or had forgotten about or lost connection with. But also maybe people, family, loved ones, or even just a sense of connection, whether it's with the same people that you grew up with or not, that have come back around and that you've reconnected with. And I do feel like there is an emphasis that you went through something maybe even alone, or maybe you felt very alone. And now you have this community, this family, these people around you who really love you and maybe even missed you. Maybe you have literally left home and come back. And people are really happy to have you back. But even within yourself, I feel like you are happy to have you back. And what you're being complimented on is how you could come through these experiences and still create such a beautiful world for yourself, right? And that I feel like a lot of you are very proud of that, and you should be proud of that. I feel like you might have gone through a time where you had to, or you felt like you had to hide yourself, hide behind a mask, that you weren't necessarily accepted by the people in your immediate vicinity, but that you still found a way back to who you truly are. And that's not always an easy thing to do. Not everyone can do that, and you have done that. You've been able to reconnect with your true self, to to give yourself validation and love where others may not have been able to give that to you. But it takes a lot of faith to reach for that anyway, when everyone around you is explicitly or implicitly telling you that it doesn't exist, that acceptance doesn't exist for you, that it's not right for you to be the way that you are. You've gone through that darkness. You've come out the other side, reunited with yourself, reunited with the people who truly care about you and love you and who are truly meant for you. And that is, that's amazing, you know? I also feel that maybe because of your experiences, or even if you're not fully resonating with that being your story, there's something about you that helps other people feel accepted, feel not alone, feel like you make people feel like they're happy, that like you're happy to see them, like that, like they're welcome in your life, like they are accepted fully by you. You may have had this experience, or you may give other people this experience, or both, of not realizing that they could be who they are, that they could be accepted for who they are, until they met you, until you came into their life and showed them how to accept themselves and showed them what true acceptance and love is really like. I feel like you truly see and feel a unity with people, with all people, and you bring that energy into the lives of people who really need it. And I think that for a lot of you, it may be because you needed that in the past. Like because you've been either like, okay, for some of you, maybe you've literally been through a lot of BS that now allows you to empathize, sympathize, and help people who have been through something similar. Or you're someone who, like, even if you haven't been through a lot of different kinds of things, like, you innately understand and tap into, you're very empathetic, maybe even a little bit like claircognizant, or like almost like you can get into people's minds and emotions and feelings and experiences. Like, it's very easy for you to step into someone else's shoes. So you can easily connect with someone no matter what they've been through. You don't shy away from it like maybe other people would. And you can see through people's walls. You can see through the things that that might make them more difficult to connect with, and you show them that they belong. You show them that there's also a world outside of what they've known. You show them a new option, a new opportunity to be who they are and to be accepted and loved. And that's an amazing and beautiful thing to bring to people. And yeah, and if you are someone who feels like you're still maybe going through this journey, maybe you don't even feel like you've reached a complete level of self-acceptance, the compliment that you're being given now is just how far you've come, how much you've stayed in connection with your true self, and also a compliment on who your true self is and how beautiful that self is, because you're even if you're still in the middle of that journey, you are wonderful just as you are, right? Like, you just might need to hear that and understand that. And you might not know that you have this kind of impact on others, because I feel like for a lot of you, you do have an amazing impact on a lot of the people that you've come in contact with. You may or may not be aware of this, you know, because for some of you, maybe that's your job. Maybe you're a therapist. Maybe you're a social worker. Maybe you do go out of your way to help people in your life all the time. But maybe for some of you, you're not that, but you've just come in contact with a lot of people who have needed your energy, needed your attention. And it's possible for a lot of you, you move through the world in a way that you're just being who you are. You're not thinking too hard about it. And you don't even necessarily know how rare you are. You don't even necessarily always know how rare your acceptance of other people can feel to the people that you're coming in contact with, how rare your just ability to connect with people organically and naturally, no matter who they are, where they come from, how different they are from you, what they've been through. That to you is just natural, but to other people, that's a revelation. That's not something that they've experienced in their lives. You bring that to people, and you might not even always know it, but Spirit wants you to know it right now, right? Wants you to embrace that, wants you to understand the impact that you can have just by being yourself. And it's incredible. I think you bring a lot of people from this 9 of Wands energy into this 10 of Cups energy without even knowing it, and without even needing to try necessarily, you know? And now, of course, if you are actively doing that is part of your work, or you're looking to bring that into your work in the future. Some of you might even, I've specifically heard, like working on like a master's degree right now or something, like you're in the process of becoming some kind of counselor or something like that. This is reassurance that, yeah, you're on the right path. You are meant to bring that kind of healing to people. But it doesn't matter if that's what you're doing in your career or not. You're still doing that by being who you are. And it's really, really wonderful. And I feel that no matter how many people feel this way about you, how many people you've helped, it's also just complimenting you on being able to do this for yourself, right? Being able to be this person for yourself, being able to recognize when you felt disconnected and lonely and unaccepted and rejected, being able to recognize that at a certain point you needed to be that person for yourself, to give that to yourself, to accept yourself unconditionally and fully, and be your own family, maybe even, and open up to the experience of welcoming other people into your life who will be there for you, will be what you need, will be happy to know you just exactly as you are. Oh, and there's also definitely a bravery here as well, where again you might not think of it as such, but perhaps for some of you maybe you've put yourself into difficult situations in order to help other people. Like you're not afraid to go into either like mental spaces or physical spaces where you could be in danger, or you could feel like you have to face your fears again. You have to face maybe some of the things that you've been through in order to help other people come out of similar situations. And you've been able to do that. And like you would go to hell for other people that you love, right? Literally, figuratively, whatever. Like you have that that drive to and conviction to help people. And now I feel like for a lot of you do so responsibly. You value your life and yourself, and you know how to protect and take care of yourself, or you're learning how to do that in the process. That is one thing that I want to emphasize, because I don't get the sense that we're complimenting you on anything that's like a harmful behavior to yourself. Like you're not, sacrificing yourself and your safety for others, without like, there's a difference between doing that from a place of like self-hatred or discounting yourself or martyrdom, where you don't feel like you matter as much as other people, versus doing that from a place of, I'm solid in me. I know what I'm capable of. I am making this decision because it feels like the best thing to do, the right thing to do. And I'm making that decision from a place of power, right? I feel like that's really what you're embodying here. It's not about obviously throwing yourself into something because you're like, oh, my life doesn't matter, but I got to do it for this person, right? Like that's kind of a more self-harming perspective. And maybe that's something that you used to do. Maybe that's a place that you used to come at things from. And at a certain point, I feel like you realized that you had to learn how to help yourself fully in order to be there for people in a new energy, in a new way, where you can make decisions for yourself and even take risks for other people's sake, but not from a place of disempowerment, but rather a place of empowerment. And that's, again, it's really beautiful. And I do feel like there's a lot of people around you, or even if they're not in your life, who you've touched in your life that you might not even know about, who are coming forward in this reading to let you know how you've impacted them, right? To let you know that they feel your true authentic self, and that it inspires them. It's helped them feel connected and help them reach a level of self-acceptance that they didn't previously have. And yeah, it's amazing. And for some of you might still be in the middle of this journey, and this is I said this a bit in the last reading as well, but just because you might have bad days or days where you don't feel like this person, it's not about being this person. It's like you are this person. The fact that you have bad days, the fact that you don't always, like, you don't go out of your way all the time to like rescue people or save people, like, it's not about that. It's like you need to live your life and be who you are. But through doing that, you do and you have come in contact with people who need you, who will get benefit from who you are, just as you are, and you make a difference just through being who you are and having the experiences that you've had. You've taken those experiences that you've had and you've turned them into something beautiful. Because I think you've had a lot of difficult experiences that could have really turned ugly, and maybe did at certain points. But you've turned them into something that is not only beautiful for you, it's beautiful for others to see. So let's get a few song cards to close out. So songs for group 1. Songs for group 2, sorry, group 2. Maybe group 1 has, maybe group 2 has something for you. And then one more for group 2. Okay, yeah. All right, so first we have Isolation by Alter Bridge. Isolation brings you to the end until you love again. Isolation, if you could only see what will come to be, maybe you'll find a life you can live and learn to love along the way and make things better. I feel like this is what you tell people. This is what you do for people. You show them how to move out of this isolation, this hurt, this focusing maybe even on the past, being stuck in the past, and you move them into this 10 of Cups, this beautiful, happy future. You give them hope that they can have that life too. Because I think for a lot of you, you've been there too, or you can understand what it's like to be in a difficult place and to not see the future, to only see the past, to only see the hurt. And then you've done that for yourself. You've changed your perspective completely. You've brought yourself into, You've learned to love again, right? You've learned to love. You've learned to make things better in your life. And you through doing that, as an example, you show other people they can do that. And maybe you also work with people directly to show them how to do that. But I feel like your impact is we're complimenting not only the impact you've had in your own life, but the impact that your life has had on others. And it's really one of bringing hope and optimism and connection back into people's lives, back into your own life. We also have I Know It Hurts. Though you lost your way, now is not forever, but I know your pain. We all fall sometimes, you're not the first, but I know it hurts. Yeah, I know it hurts. In the end, you'll find what you deserve. Still, I know it hurts. Yeah, I know it hurts. Yeah, so like what I just said. Both of those songs are basically saying the same thing. It's like you went from this place, you went from point like Z to point A, and you also show and bring other people into that place with you. And we'd love to see it. We also have Counting Blue Cars by Dishwalla, which says, tell me all your thoughts on God, because I'd really like to meet her and ask her why we're who we are. So I feel like with this, you have the ability, I think I said this before, to meet people where they're at, to accept them as they are, to maybe you also have a very firm spiritual sort of basis for acceptance, where you accept, okay, this is actually, it's, all right, bear with me. The example of, from the Lord of the Rings, Frodo is the ring bearer, right? If you're not familiar with the Lord of the Rings, Frodo is a hobbit. They're very small, man-shaped people who are often overlooked by history. They are not strivers. They don't want the glory that like men want, or they don't have like the big spiritual kind of like mission that the elves want. This is like a fantasy novel, fantasy movie. But hobbits are more like simple folk. They like to enjoy their lives or whatever. But Frodo gets wrapped up in this quest to save the land of Middle-earth from evil, where this evil ring comes into his possession, and he ends up being the only one who can carry this ring across the country to bring it to the place where it needs to be destroyed. And so Frodo he's deeply changed by this quest. It's a long, traumatizing journey. It's difficult for him. He is never the same after it. But one aspect of Frodo that's very important is that along the way he and you know, he has support along the way. But along the way he also meets with another character who was corrupted by the ring long ago and is now kind of a shadow of themselves. And the character who you look at and you're like, like, he's kind of gross, he's kind of weird, like, he doesn't really he doesn't even have a sense of self. He's got like two different personalities because the ring has really like turned him into almost two separate people in his mind. And like it's something like from the outside you could look at that and be like put off and be like, what's going on with this guy? But Frodo, carrying this burden of the ring, can feel its power, can feel what it's doing to him, and he empathizes with Gollum. He empathizes with him. Gollum is someone who like swings between helping him and trying to hurt him, and Frodo has reasons to not trust him, even reasons to send him off or even leave him to die at times, but he doesn't do it. He can't bring himself to do it because he can see himself in this creature. And spoilers, but like at the end of the journey, Frodo ends up failing to the power of the ring as well when he's right at the point where he can destroy it. And the fact that he kept this creature Gollum alive, that he developed this relationship with this creature at all, is what eventually allows the ring to actually be destroyed, because they both grapple for it, and in that grappling knock it into the volcano. And so in keeping Gollum, Smeagol, whatever you want to call him, alive, in having the empathy for him, he ensures that the ring does ultimately meet the end it's meant to meet, even though he's not the one who's able to physically do it himself. And so it's kind of like this broader understanding, like zooming out and seeing the hands of fate at play, where Smeagol is who he's meant to be, Frodo is who he's meant to be, and through the both of them making it to the end of the journey alive, although Smeagol does end up dying, this allows the ring to be destroyed. So, short story long, I'm saying, like, you can see how everyone has their role, how everyone also is the way that they are for a reason. You've been that person, but you also know what it's like to be on that path, even if you might not have gone as far as other people have down certain roads. You can see what led people there. You can understand what that experience was like, and you can look at it from a broader, bigger, more spiritual perspective and give people that grace and understanding, and understand that everyone has their roles to play. And through doing that, we're diverging from the storyline of Lord of the Rings, because most people aren't in the exact situation that's portraying, and I feel like, you know, you see the redeemable qualities in everyone, and you see that everyone has their role to play, and you're also able to see when people have the potential to come back from something and have the desire and just need that helping hand, you know, just need the helping hand to lead them back. But again, not at the detriment of yourself, because I think with the spiritual perspective, you're also able to zoom out and say, okay, well, like, I can't be here rescuing everyone around. Like, everyone has their own story, their own path to walk, and maybe you've had trouble separating yourself in the past, but I think now you're much better at separating yourself from what you can help with, and when it's actually helpful for you to step in, and when you need to let someone figure something out on their own, when you need to let someone walk their own path, when you have limits, or when you're being called to be somewhere else, and, you know, you can't get caught up in other people's problems, other people's situations, you know, having that empathy, having that desire to help, but also knowing when you need to take a step back, when there are limits. And you're also, I think, also able to, you might even have questions of like, okay, like, well, you know, why are people like this? Like, why am I who I am? Why did this person go through this thing? Like, does it matter, or can I just be with this person as they are right now and accept them as they are right now and work through things with them, you know? I feel like that got a little jumbled. But one last thing I will say with the Dishwalla song is, like, to me, it just gives the feeling of being able to be, like, in that childhood innocence of, like, wonder, of possibility, of, like, that first questioning of, like, why is life? Why am I? What is going on here, right? And I think that you might find yourself in that headspace or thinking about those kinds of questions a lot, but you also might bring that kind of questioning to other people in a way that will help them enrich their experience of themselves, enrich their compassion for themselves, and bring themselves to a deeper understanding of how they can make something beautiful out of their life too, if they so choose to do so. And also how they're already, like, their life can already be beautiful. It already is. And just like a deeper acceptance beyond the labels we might place on things, beyond the judgments that we might cast upon ourselves and upon others. So I hope that all made sense. Really beautiful energy. I just feel like you're a very powerful person and also very healing and a very healing presence to yourself and to others. And you're really being strongly complimented on that now. And just, these are all things I set the intention of being things that you are inherently that you do. It's not things that you need to focus on or strive for. It's just who you are. And that's an important thing for you to remember. All right. So I hope this resonated. Please comment if it did. Thank you so much for watching. It was wonderful to read for you. Like, subscribe if you feel called to. And, if you're interested in a personal reading, we offer them on our website, sunflowerphilosophy.com. We also offer hypnosis and human design. And if, no, that's it. That's all I want to say. Have a wonderful life, and I will see you in another reading again sometime very soon. Bye. Hi, Group 3. If you selected this Malachite, then you're in the right place, and this is your reading with compliments for you. So we're just gonna give you some compliments, get you in touch with the parts of yourself that are amazing and wonderful and already exist and are you, and help you feel good and confident. And this has been really fun so far, so I'm excited to get into your reading. So I've already selected a tarot card for you guys and 4 quote cards. So I'll flip these over, read them out, and then we'll get into it. So starting with your card, we have the Hierophant. And you're actually the only group that only got 1 tarot card, which, basically I get the cards that I need to give the message that I need to give. So I don't think that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's just an interesting thing I noticed. And also, let's get into your quote. So first we have this one, which says, "I just think I want someone to tell me how to live my life, Father, because so far I think I've been getting it wrong," from Fleabag. And just that coming out, and then the Hierophant coming out for your card. Interesting. Okay. We have this card, which says, "Life's a game, but only some bother to play," from Call Down the Hawk by Maggie Stiefvater. And we have this one with, "I believe that my own morality, which answers only to my heart, is more sure and true than the morality of those who do right only because they fear retribution," from The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. Oh, this is so interesting. I can see how this is fitting together already. And then we have this card with, "Doubt was not truth, though. It was opinion," from All the Crooked Saints by Maggie Stiefvater. So we've got 2 Maggie Stiefvater quotes. This is an interesting energy, Group 3. I hope I said Group 3 in the beginning. Not Group 4. Group 3, since I just almost said Group 4, maybe Group 4 is significant. I haven't recorded it yet, so I don't even know. But the Hierophant here is telling me, first of all, you're being complimented in some way on your leadership skills. Maybe you are in a place of leadership. In particular, maybe you are in some way in your community, or even on a broader scale, I don't know who's watching, some kind of spiritual leader. For some of you, you could even be some kind of religious leader, but that may not be the case, maybe not for most of you, so if that doesn't apply to you, just hang tight, we'll get there. But there's some way in which you are a leader, you are a guide, and even if you are not intentionally this, you are in some way a spiritual guide. Now, with the quotes that are coming through, I feel like you're specifically being complimented on the way that you encourage people to follow their own heart, to follow their own intuition, and maybe also the way that you have learned to put your own truth, your own intuition, your own heart, your own values above those of others who might have tried to tell you what to think or how to feel. And in this way, I feel like I almost heard like you've become your own, like your own Hierophant, your own guide. You have really tapped into the qualities that allow you to lead yourself, and in that maybe be a leader for others. But also, like, I feel like with this Fleabag quote, you may engage with a lot of people who feel lost in their lives, feel hopeless, want someone else to tell them what to do and where to go, but you also may have been that person at some point in your lives. And I feel like there's a lot here about religion maybe playing a role, where you may have experienced being in, or this could just also be an analogy for a way that you grew up, even if it wasn't specifically religious, but like the idea of sort of religious trauma, the idea of being in a cultish situation or a group of people that is taught that they need someone outside themselves to guide them, that they can't trust themselves, that they need to be led and told what to do, that they need someone else to tell them what is good and right and true, that someone else must tell them how to live their lives. They can't do that for themselves. And I have this feeling, of course, if you resonate with that you have really broken free from it. And you're being complimented on your strength in doing so, in taking control of your life and learning to play the game rather than playing your own game rather than playing someone else's game. You have really learned how to stand out and take control of your own life, take control of your own spiritual beliefs and your own values, and learn what they are, and learn. So with doubt was not the truth, though it was opinion, you may have also face a lot of doubt coming from others around your own beliefs and your own values, around your own capabilities, and maybe even just internal doubt that we all face from time to time, self-doubt. I feel like you've learned to face that. You've learned to acknowledge that even though doubts might be there, it's not the truth. It's not a concrete fact. There will always be room for doubts. And also doubting can be part of the process, and doubting can even be very valuable, such as in the case of being a part of like a religious institution or cultish organization where you're discouraged from doubting, you're discouraged from questioning. You can use that doubt to really hone in on, okay, like, where's this doubt coming from? Why am I doubting this? And why is someone telling me that it's not okay for me to do so, right? Like, let's look into that. Skepticism is not a bad thing inherently, right? Using your ability to doubt to keep yourself safe, and also to hone in on what's truly your truth, not someone else's that they're trying to feed you out of a sense of wanting control. I feel like if you are a leader in some way, you're being complimented on being a benevolent leader, really being someone who is leading by example, leading also in a way where you are encouraging people to lead themselves, encouraging people to be their own masters, and also to tap into your own sense and their own sense of morality, of what's really in your heart, and to acknowledge that that might be different than what you were raised to believe in and what they were raised to believe in. You may not have looked to be a spiritual leader in any kind of way, and you may not consider yourself to be one, but perhaps you have the potential to be one in any way. But I feel that if that is something that you were to become, or even that you are, you would want to do so in a way that was benevolent, was encouraging and inspiring in an uplifting way, rather than a way that is meant to control and to keep people in fear. That you would want to encourage people to have control of their own lives, to not look to anyone other than themselves for guidance, for truth, but to learn how to access this within themselves so that they don't have to be beholden to anything outside of them that tells them that they don't know right from wrong. And that's a wonderful thing. And as I'm saying this, by the way, don't mind me, but I'm going to turn on a light. So the lighting's just going to shift for a second because it is rapidly approaching sundown and the days are just shorter now. So hopefully that helps. Yeah, that's good. All right. So in any case, I feel like you really are being commended on your ability to stand on your own, to be your own leader, to be your own person, and maybe even show others how to do that for themselves, which is really, really cool. And it's funny because I feel like the other readings, I spiraled into, like, I had so much more to say. I feel like this one is very straightforward. I almost feel like that's another thing you're being complimented on, is in some way I feel like you are a very straightforward person. You have a way of speaking your mind that is unique to you, that might also lend to you being some kind of leader. You can easily communicate the ideas and concepts that come to you that are part of you. I also get the sense with the Way of Kings being here, this quote, "I believe that my own morality, which answers only to my heart, is more sure and true than the morality of those who do right only because they fear retribution." Maybe you do embody the character of Yasna, who is one of the characters in this, who, I believe that's the character that's speaking in this quote. And if I remember correctly, in The Way of Kings, Yasna is a character who, is more of a scientific mind than a spiritual, well, I mean, depending on what your definition of spiritual is, I feel like the two are not actually opposed. They can function together very well. It's just our society that has divided the two at this time. But in the book that that Yasna is from, everyone around her is very, like, generally very devoted to a more religious way of seeing the world. There's gods that they worship and commune with, and she has her own way of going about her life, which is less attuned with a path that she would call spiritual. She's not religious in the sense that she has removed herself from a way of thinking and belief system that that is more run by fear, right? Fear of the gods, fear of doing wrong. She doesn't. She explains her position of her way of thinking to another character as being guided by her own morals, because I think there's like a moment where she makes a decision that another character questions the morality of, or she's grappling with the moral question of her actions or another character's actions, and she's I don't know if this is actually how it goes down, but since this is the scenario that's coming to me, it will probably be relevant for you. So even if this isn't exactly what's happening in the book, if you ever read it, just go with this storyline as like a message for you. But it's like the idea of like another character who's very devout coming to her and being like, well, how could you let this happen? Or how can I reconcile this thing that we let happen or that we did? How do I know it's right? It's not right in the like face of my religion, or it's not right in the face of this God, or like, how can you reconcile that if you don't have a religious path that you follow? How do you know what's morally right and what's morally wrong? And her basically leaving room for the nuance of each situation and the uncertainty that comes along with sometimes the decisions that we make, but ultimately saying, I trust my heart in each and every moment. I follow my own morals. I do my best to know my own self, my own values, and I trust that above the values of people who only act from a quote-unquote moral place because they fear what will happen if they don't. She has her own principles and she sticks to them because she believes they are right. She believes they're true, not because she's afraid that someone else will punish her for not doing right. And I feel like you have really cultivated that within yourself. That is something that is very important to you. And it's extremely admirable. It's admirable to want to do right, to want to do unto others in a certain kind of way, because that's part of your values. That's part of your principles. You've developed that within yourself. You've paid attention to what's truly important to you, and you believe in that, and you listen to that, and you don't do it because you're fearful of what will happen if you don't. You do it because that's what you believe in, because you want to, because that's how you prefer to live your life. And that's stronger in a way than doing something out of simply fearing retribution, because that's why you can step up and be a leader, right? That's why you can step up and be a leader, because you're not acting out of fear. You're acting out of love. You're acting from your own heart and from knowing yourself truly. And you're really being complimented on how well you know yourself, how you've learned yourself. so that you can't be manipulated and taken advantage of by people outside of you, because you know your own heart so well that people can't use fear and tactics like that to take advantage of you. And maybe in the past you feel like they have. Maybe you've been in situations where they have, and that's why you've built this solid foundation. It doesn't, it's not whether you feel like this is something that's always been part of you or something that you've had to develop through your experiences. It's irrelevant to the fact that you are being praised for this, you're being complimented on this. This is something that I feel you likely are very proud of, and it's being highlighted so that you can recognize that it's true and be reminded, of course, because we always sometimes need to be reminded of things to be proud of ways that we've grown, and things that are already part of us that sometimes we forget, and in case you've forgotten recently, this is a really big deal. This is something that's to be admired and respected. There's a great deal of respect here. I feel like you have a lot of respect for yourself, for other human beings, and you also probably garner a lot of respect from people in your life. Just through how you've been able to build up yourself, your own leadership qualities, and in fact, you may even have like a very, whether you see it that way or not, I feel like to a lot of people you have a very commanding presence, a very wise and spiritual and powerful presence that just comes from your self-possession. I feel like you're very self-possessed. You are your spiritual leader. You are your teacher, and in that you teach others. So I'm going to close out with a few song cards, and this has been a shorter reading so far, but again, very straightforward. I feel like we've really covered it, but we're not done yet, so let's get some song cards. So actually, 3 fell out, and actually I think we'll take them. Yeah. Okay, so we have Dance Macabre by Ghost, Take Aim by Sleep Token, and Come Clean by Kelly Clarkson. So Dance Macabre says, I just wanna be with you in the moonlight. I just wanna be with you all night. And I'm not gonna read it because it just kind of repeats. I wanna be with you one last time in the ancient rite. So the song itself, I feel like the lyrics are less, so this one does require a little bit more explanation. So Dance Macabre, it's a fun song. It's by Ghost, but I think one of the biggest things that's being highlighted here, first of all, is Ghost, if you don't know anything about the band, is a sort of like fun concept band where they do like they're sort of metal, but the concept of Ghost is that the lead singer is like a demonic pope, like a demonic priest. I think he's like a pope. So this was why the Hierophant, and it makes sense. And like, he is very charismatic and he leads his followers, and it's sort of like a parody of, some figures in modern religions that you might be familiar with, but it's like a parody of that, in like it's satanic instead of, religious. But I feel like there is something to you that, like, you're like a little alternative, like you've got that like alternative, like sort of like spiritual leader charisma, where, not in the sense that like you're actually a satanic priest, please, it's not, I mean, maybe you are, but probably not, but more in the sense that there's like that ability to play with and question and even undermine through like your demeanor and the way that you maybe approach spirituality or religion, that you bring to the table. So you help people almost like question the way that they've been led, the things that they've been led to believe about themselves by other leaders in their life, whether religious or otherwise. And you might also have like a charisma to you that draws people in, so you might grapple with that a bit as well, in terms of like, okay, well, I don't want to be like this kind of person to people, but people just come to me, I don't know. You might have some people who kind of want to like, get in your circle, like, be part of your tribe. And that might be a little overwhelming for you. Like, you might not be asking for that. But I feel like the most important thing also, aside from the, like, sort of alternative religious, like, helping people question what they've been brought up to believe aspects of you, also with ghosts being referenced here, I feel like you might just have a way with words. Like, you might be very quick-witted. You might know how to pull out a pun here, or, like, a new turn of phrase there. You know, I think there's some fun things that Ghost plays with linguistically in some of their songs that I've just noticed and I thought was cool, and I feel like that's being highlighted for you as well. Like, having a way with words. You might not even realize it, but I feel like you do have a way with words. You say things in a clever way that people might not expect, and that also might help people undermine some of their core beliefs that they've had for years and years and years that might not be serving them, that might have been brought to them by people who didn't have the best intentions with them. And so I feel like that's being highlighted for you as well, and we're complimenting your way with words, how you communicate ideas. As I said, very straightforward. I think, cuts to the quick, I just heard. That came out of nowhere, but cuts to the quick. Like, you cut straight to the heart of things for people, whether you intend to or not, and help them, for some of you, very literally break through, like, conditioning in some way, religious or otherwise. We also have Take Aim by Sleep Token so take aim at me for once, just take aim, break me apart, love. You might, like I said, have a lot of people who are kind of hung up on you, stuck on you, not necessarily in a romantic way. For some of you, that might be the case. And that could be something that you enjoy. It could also be something that you don't enjoy, depending on the semantics. But I think it just speaks to the charisma that you have. You are very attractive, and there might be a bit of, a double-edged sword to that. But I also feel like there are a lot of people who really want your attention. Like, you're sought after. People want to work with you. People want you. And if you haven't seen this reflected in your path, but you are working on becoming a leader in some way, or you're, again, like, from a benevolent place, I really feel like we're complimenting you on good leadership, not malefite, anyway, not malefic leadership, like, not, like, maybe you have that potential, but I don't think that you're going to use it. I hope not, for anything culty. I think that you have the best of intentions here. And that's another thing. Take aim. Intentions is an important thing for you. I think, it's like you are very intentional with your words, with your actions. Maybe you've built that over time. And I think you know how to take aim at something and get it done, get it accomplished. You know how to help other people do the same. And that's a really admirable quality and a good one, again, for a leader in whatever way that you lead. Whether you have quote-unquote followers or not, like, I think you are a leader. And with Come Clean, we have Let the Rain Fall Down and Wake My Dreams, Let It Wash Away My Sanity, because I want to feel the thunder, I want to scream, let the rain fall down, I'm coming clean. And I feel like that is referencing the way that you have maybe washed yourself clean of some of the old conditioning of your past, and let that go. And, like, Let It Wash Away My Sanity in particular stuck out to me because the idea is that maybe you were raised with this very small sort of paradigm, this very constrictive paradigm on what is considered sane and healthy and good, that was not actually reflective of reality. Wasn't actually reflective of what you truly believed in your heart and soul. And so you've had to let go of and wash away that sanity. And maybe for some people in your life, you became someone who seemed a little insane, right? Like, I think that a band that parodies, like, certain religious structures and has, like, a satanic pope or whatever at the head of it is kind of funny. Like, it's amusing, it's fun, the music is good. I don't read too much into it as being actually negative or dangerous. And to be honest, I think that's because I didn't grow up with religious programming that taught me about demonic forces or things like that. Like, I just don't have that fear in me. And I haven't seen a reason to incorporate that fear into my life because, to be honest, I don't think anyone should be made to fear. That's just how I be. And you might have taken the time to, you might feel and believe the same way as me, but to people who didn't grow up, who don't have that same perspective, you would seem insane or scary or like, what, like, who gave you the license to question these things? Like, that can be scary for people who are in that programming to look at you and see you. They would see you in a way that's completely different than who you truly are, right? They would take certain things more seriously than you probably would. And that's just, where they're at, and that's their life and their reality. But you have definitely stepped away from that and into a new life and reality that was no small feat, That's not a small thing. That might have been your path, and you might have been gifted with this ability to see through certain things, to connect with people outside of what you were raised in and see them for who they truly are. I definitely think you've got away with words. That's definitely coming through for me. It didn't even necessarily come through in like the specific quotes that we have here, but I feel like it came through it just came to me like you definitely have a way with words in some way. And no matter what you're doing with your life, like you've really shown some truths to a lot of people. You've really inspired a lot of people. And yeah, and you've really let go of a lot of belief systems that I think probably on some level never really resonated with you, but may have been what you were given to work with as a very small child. Like, that's crazy. That's in a good way. That's no small feat. And you aim to have the best of intentions to move through life with integrity that comes from your own sense of purpose rather than someone else's. And you don't feel the need to go to anyone else to tell you who you are. Even though I feel probably many people have tried to tell you who you are, who you should be, what you can and can't do. At the core of it, no one can really do that. You are you know who you are. You might have had a lot of people after you who were trying to control you, not necessarily always out of malice, not always even out of knowing what they were doing, but just because they had this sense, even just like energetically, that you are your own person, you are your own leader, and they don't understand that because they probably don't know that that's who they can be for themselves. So they either want you to lead them, or they want to try to lead you or control you because they don't understand what you're doing, because they don't understand. Oh, yeah. There's actually a very specific person in my life who's coming to mind who I feel like fits this experience. Shout out if you end up watching this. You may or may not know if I'm talking about you, but who is just a wonderful person, has a wonderful way with words, and has, breaking free. I guess I don't have the same way with words here. I guess I'm in my Shakespeare era. I'm making up my own words. But yeah, who, this person who was raised in a very religious household, but has developed their own set of spiritual beliefs and their own spirituality outside of that, who has also been a very compassionate person, and has an amazing presence, has an incredible way with words, is a wonderful poet, and just is so talented, really, and just has this way about them that I also have gotten the sense other people have really wanted to control or question, or just haven't always understood, and haven't always trusted that this person, knows what they're about and is their own leader, is their own person, and is just so wonderful, really. And it is a shame, for those people who didn't understand this, that they couldn't get the best of this person because they didn't know how to accept that. But, this person was able to keep going anyway and continues to, live their life and be amazing. And at the end of the day, it might have been a difficult road, but it didn't stop them. And if that sounds like you, then own that. Like, you have something that not everyone has, and also the great gift to bring that to others. And you do that in ways you might not even realize. So, I know that person has definitely helped along my road without maybe even realizing it, that they have. In ways that I'm incredibly grateful for. So, yeah, you are so powerful. And it's really, really cool the way that you've, maybe for some of you, reinvented yourself, but also just the way that you have been able to maintain yourself through everything that you've been through and through everything that the world has been through. Like, honestly. So, yeah, major kudos. You are doing a great job. Keep being you. Keep being your own leader. You know what you're doing. You know what you're doing. And we love to see it. We love to see it. So, yeah. All right. Well, I think that's all we got. So, amazing energy. Thank you so much for listening to this. I hope it resonated. Please leave a comment if it did. Also, if you are interested in liking, subscribing, that would be amazing. If you're interested in a personal reading or hypnosis and human design, we offer those services on our website, sunflowerphilosophy.com, link in the description. I hope you have a wonderful life, and I will see you in another reading again sometime very soon. Bye! Hi, Group 4. If you selected the blue glass obsidian, whatever this is, it's beautiful, but I forgot to look up the actual name, then you are in the right place, and this is your reading with compliments for you on, just compliments. We're just complimenting you. Honestly, the energy has been amazing. I love complimenting people. It's great, and man, lots of wonderful people watching these videos. Really, like, I commend you all for just your strength and integrity and all the stuff that you've been through, that you've really made work for yourselves. But before I just go on and on and on, let's just get into your reading, all right? So we've got, I pulled some cards ahead of time, so I have tarot cards and then also these quote cards. So let's first look at your tarot cards. So we have, I don't know if I'm going to need to cover this. We have the Devil and we have the Four of Cups. These little characters, they don't have, they're not nude, but, they don't even have, anything. But still, YouTube is quite sensitive, and it's really annoying. Okay, so we have the Devil and the Four of Cups. Already such a fascinating, energy, the fact that these are the two cards that came out, and we're complimenting you, because, it's not the cards that you expect to be immediately apparent what the message is, but stuff that means it's something really interesting, really good, really juicy. So I'm excited to get into it. Also, my energy is just very weird right now. So one thing that's coming through before we even read the quotes is that you might be quite a unique individual, and you are being commended for this. You're being commended for maybe not following the fold. That's sort of actually playing off of some things from Group 3, and I did mention Group 4 and Group 3, so maybe for some of you, Group 3 is relevant as well. But, yeah, there's definitely something about you that's quite unique. Starting off also with the quote cards, we have this card here with this kind of star on it, which also Aquarius energy. This first time I've mentioned astrology, but Aquarius being also about being very individualistic and unique might resonate for you, might be relevant. And this says, tomorrow is always fresh with no mistakes in it. Then we have these dice with, if you couldn't beat the odds, you changed the game. This is from Anne with an E, that tomorrow is always fresh with no mistakes in it. And if you can't beat the odds, You Change the Game is from Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. And then we have this card with every individual is a unique manifestation of the whole, as every branch is a particular outreaching of the tree, from Alan Watts. Yeah, definitely getting that individuality here. And we also have If Only, If Only, with If only, if only the woodpecker sighs, the bark on the tree was as soft as the skies, while the wolf waits below, hungry and lonely, crying to the moon, if only, if only. This is very interesting. Okay, so first of all, yeah, with like there's definitely something very unique about you, and I feel like you are someone who doesn't just, you're being complimented on the fact that you don't just take what's offered to you just because it's there. Like, you don't take every single opportunity that comes your way, because maybe you've been offered a lot of opportunities, or you could have taken a lot of different paths, but you're committed to your individual path, and you're not just going to settle for anything. You're not just going to go for anything. You're not just going to take some kind of option because it's presented to you. You're going to take that option because it's truly meant for you, and because you're not afraid to make mistakes. And maybe this is something that you've been developing your whole life, but there's definitely something here about your attitude towards life where you're not afraid to make mistakes. You're not afraid of the idea that you could miss out on something, because you're confident that something else will always come along, that you'll always that you're like, it's like you won't take just any option that will come across your path, because you want to take something that truly resonates with you. But at the same time, you found the balance where you'll also not shy away from opportunities out of the fear of making the wrong choice, because you trust that if it's meant for you, it'll come to you. You'll take the opportunity if it feels right, but also you're not afraid of where that might lead you. You're someone who's willing to walk your own path, to make decisions that maybe other people don't always understand, but you feel in your gut is the right decision, and not have a specific expectation for the outcome. Maybe you don't even believe in mistakes. Maybe you just believe in walking your path and seeing how things unfold, letting them unfold in the way that they're meant to, and going with that, and making the most out of whatever situation you find yourself in. If you couldn't beat the odds, you change the game. I feel like you have a lot of integrity. You're someone who, if something comes to you, if something's offered to you that is not aligned with your personal integrity, with your values, you're not just going to settle for it. You're not going to play someone else's game. If that game does not align with your values, you're going to change that freaking game. Like, the example that's coming to me is like starting a YouTube channel, and maybe there's this push with YouTube, with the algorithm, to create a lot of like content that's negative, that's critiquing things, that's like with titles that are clickbaity and stuff like that. That will get you views, but maybe that doesn't align with the content that you want to create. You don't want to do that. You don't want to feed off of people's negativity or fear. You don't want to use clickbait. You don't want to lie. You want to do your own thing. You have your way of being. You know who you are. You know what you're about. And you want to do that. And you don't want anyone to tell you, oh, you can't do it that way. So you're going to freaking change the game. Like, you're just going to do what you want to do. And if it means you have to wait a little longer to get the success you want, or if it means that you don't see the results that you could have gotten in another way right away, you're not afraid of that. And you're also not afraid to make adjustments along the way if you do find things that align with you, that work, that are not immediately what's presented to you, right? You'll be patient, you'll wait, and allow the way that aligns with you to come to you along your path. With If Only, If Only, I feel like that's really about, because in Holes, this is from Holes by Louis Sajar. If you are around my age, you probably read it in school or watched the movie. Another quote from Holes came out in like pile 1. So, and there's some similar, like, it's funny because I can see how a lot of the groups like mesh together. Maybe you've watched more than one group. Maybe you watch them all. I feel like they can all play off of each other in a way. Like, it's different energies, and yet I can see how they can all coexist within the same person to create sort of a bigger picture of an individual, like, so whatever resonates. But yeah, with this If Only, If Only song, I feel like you have a way of seeing what could be. And not only saying, if only things were like this, but saying, what if they were? What if we can make them like that? Like, if only things were like this, I'm going to do it. I'm going to make it like this. I'm going to take that if only and make it into it is. Ooh, I love it. I love it. That's so cool. Because you're not willing to be beholden to, like, freaking nasty ass people who don't have they don't have your best interest at heart. They don't maybe even have anyone's best interest at heart. And you won't stand for that. You have integrity. That's really, really freaking cool. And at the same time, you also value in others, I feel like, the unique qualities that they bring to the table. So I feel like you are someone who's able to see the best in people at times, or see value where other people don't, including in other individuals around you. Like, what's coming to mind right now is in the book The Raven Cycle. If you're familiar with it, it's by Maggie Stiefvater. There's a character who is like, he's kind of like the leader of a group of teenagers who are on a quest to find a dead Welsh king, as one does. But a point that's made in the books is that he's like this like really posh, like wealthy boy. He's very charismatic. Everyone loves him. And his friends are a collection of people who are more outcasts. Like, one friend who is like emotionally troubled and has been through some trauma and is hard to get to know because he's very prickly and very abrasive and people are afraid of him. And another friend who comes from a lower class household, who deals with abuse and things like that, who's determined to get himself through school and to get out of his situation, where, you know, he doesn't have the same social graces to move throughout this rich boy private school that he's in, as other people do. So he's, you know, seen as an outcast in that way. And you know, a few others. But the point is that he's the one, he went in and he chose these people because he saw something in them that was unique, that was special to him. And he wasn't about the surface level, oh, well, like, they don't have the qualities that, like, are accepted by the society that I live in, so I'm not going to bother with them. No, he wasn't about that. And I think you're not about that either. You're about all the interesting, unique qualities that individuals bring, whether or not they fit in with, like, a certain society, whether or not they have certain social graces, whether or not they have certain resources or a certain status. Like, you're not about that. You're doing your own thing. And you respect when other people do their own thing. And in doing so, you can create, like, things that no one else could dream of. You can create a world that no one else can dream of if they can't experience life or imagine life or open to life that's outside of more of the surface level things they've been taught, right? Like, someone might, you know, go into an industry where they're encouraged to have some underhand practices, but, you know, what's important to them is to be successful in that industry. So instead of questioning that, they go along with it. They do what they're told to be successful. And you know what? Maybe that person just doesn't question it. Maybe that's not their path right now. Maybe they've never had a problem with that. But there might be people who do have a problem with it, who see a problem with that, and don't want to do it, but they do it anyway because they want to be successful. They put something else over their own values. You would never do that. And I would say never, in the sense that maybe you have done that in the past and that's how you've learned to stick with your values. I think it'll vary for everyone, you know? And no judgment one way or the other. It's commendable and respectable that you have aligned with your values, even if you've gone back on them in the past, even if you sometimes still struggle to align with them today. It's something that you've made some hard choices, or you're willing to make hard choices in order to live according to your personal integrity and have respect for individuals now. Like, you've either come to that through your own personal journey, or you've always been connected with that part of you. But regardless, it's something that's important. It's being highlighted and it's very respectable. And yeah, you really change the game for what, like, if you're in a certain kind of industry, you change the game in that industry. If you're in your relationships with people, like, you change the game for them in some way or another by seeing things in them that no one else has seen, by showing them that there's a different way of doing things. You know, a lot of things that have been coming through, I feel like, are being praised for being ways of being that you have that you might not recognize in yourself always, because it might come natural to you, or it might feel natural to you now if it's something that you've had to work on. But to other people, sometimes it's easy to forget. Other people see that in you and are awed by it because they're not there yet, but maybe they see it and they respect it. Maybe they see it and they didn't think that anyone could be that way until you showed them. You're really doing that. Just by being choosy, being picky, knowing your own heart. Like, yeah, group 3 definitely coming through here, but like, yeah, knowing what you want, what you value. And again, like, even if you make a quote-unquote mistake, even if you make a decision that doesn't make sense to anyone around you such that they would call it a mistake, you don't. You just keep going. You've got that resilience. Group 1 coming through. It almost, yeah. I mean, you might want to watch the other groups as well. I feel like there's a lot of shared qualities that we're all being complimented for here in one way or another. That maybe, you know, you'll relate to more than one group here, but really, it's quite lovely. I just had to move a wire out of the way of the candle over here. So yeah, but yeah, you dare to be different, like, and for some of you, I don't even think you think of it like that. I don't think you think about it. You just are. You're like, well, why wouldn't I do something in accordance with my own personal values? Like, why would I do what everyone else does? And to be fair, you know, you might be someone who's more uniquely in a position to do so because, you know, some people do things that aren't in alignment with their values because they need to survive, right? Some of you might know what that's like. You might have been there. You might have worked to get yourself in a position where you feel like you don't have to do that, right? But for others of you, you might just like never have done that, right? And you might not have never had to think of it in that way. It doesn't make it any less valuable that you are that way, but at the same time, I do feel like for a lot of you, it's not always easy for you to make decisions in alignment with your values, but you do it anyway. Because it's important to you, because you believe in it, and because, yeah, you'll suffer an inconvenience, or even something that's a little more than an inconvenience, to do something that you just feel is right. And you also, I feel, have a certain confidence in yourself that not a lot of people have. So you have that optimism that if I say no to this option, another one that's better will come along. Another one that's more aligned with me will come along. And if you don't necessarily consciously do that, you might also find that it speaks to you to intentionally, like, remember to set the intention of like, oh, okay, like, that's not aligned with me. I set the intention that I will receive an opportunity, a pathway that will be aligned with my values, that will get me where I want to go, or even be led to a path that's even better and more aligned with me I didn't see before. But I feel like most of you are really tapped in with that already consciously, and that you do this intentionally. And it's really cool. So good work. I'm going to get a few song cards to expand upon this before we close out. So yeah, very unique group 4. Very unique. I also just heard oddball. You might be a bit of an oddball to some people, but I think if anything, you're proud of that. Like, you kind of want to be. Like, you're down with that. All right, messages, any additional messages for group 4 compliments wise? That's too many. All right. Any further information? Anything else we want to compliment group 4 on? What are we complimenting group 4 on? That one, I'm gonna put that back in. What are we complimenting group 4 on here? 3 songs, please. 3 songs to compliment group 4. Okay. Yeah. Three songs did pop out. All right, so I'll put them in the order that I saw them. Okay. So we have, first of all, we have Wish You Were Here by Pink Floyd. How I wish you were here. We're just two lost souls swimming in a fishbowl year after year, running over the same old ground. What have we found? The same old fears. Wish you were here. Interesting. This is odd. But I do feel like, almost similar to something that came through for Group 3, there might be a lot of people who wish that you were more like them. But, like, you don't want to be like them. They're not happy. There might be, this doesn't feel like a very uplifting message, but it might be true that you might have in your, being a very unique person, left a lot of people behind. Not like leaving them behind like, oh, you should have brought them with you. Like, but more like people can see you just being you, doing your own thing, and they're like, they miss you, I think a lot of people might miss you. But I think a lot of people also don't have they're not quite on that path that you're on, right? Like you're creating the path, and a lot of people might have in the past that you've dealt with, maybe when you were on this path yourself, have been on paths that other people have paved for them, made roads that other people paved for them that they can't quite get off of, right? But they see you going ahead and doing your thing, and I do feel like a lot of people are probably inspired by that, but I think there's an acknowledgement here that whatever you're doing, however you handle yourself, a lot of people admire it, but also a lot of people don't feel like they can do the same thing. And that doesn't mean don't stop doing what you're doing. Be you. I don't think that you ever would, really. But I do feel like there are some people who miss you, but who don't feel like they can follow where you've gone, We have Praying by Kesha. I'm proud of who I am. No more monsters. I can breathe again. And you said that I was done. Well, you were wrong. And now the best is yet to come. Yeah. Now, if you, maybe for some of you relate to like some of the heavier messages of like what happened to inspire the song Praying. And of course you're being commended on your ability to come back from that, to walk away from people, situations that were actively unhealthy for you and that were controlling you to get yourself out, to do what you've had to do to heal. But also just in a more general sense, no matter who you are, I think you are proud of who you are. And you're being complimented on your own personal pride in yourself, Like, pride isn't a bad thing. Having pride in yourself isn't a bad thing. And acknowledging where you're proud of yourself, yeah, it's a good thing. Maybe there are people who doubted you. Maybe there are even people who held you down. Like, maybe you have a devil in your past who, whether it was a relationship or a family member or a job or something, or society in general, that didn't think that you'd make it as far as you've made it, or maybe you've even dealt with those demons in your own head, whether it came from someone else or from within you, but you made it out of that, right? Like, you just keep being you keep doing you keep saying no to things that really just are not for you because you want better. Like, you want to be able to live the life that is truest to you, that's not dictated by anyone else's selfish or just unaligned with you ways of doing things. Like, you're like, nah, fuck that. Like, fuck that shit. Like, we're not doing that. No. And that's great. That's incredible. And you might have doubted at times yourself, but I feel like you're seeing and believing now in your truth, and you're seeing and believing in a better world, and you are striving to be the change that you want to see in the world. Like, literally, you are doing your best to be the person that you want to see reflected back at you, to create the world that you want to see reflected back at you, and in a way where you might not always live up to your expectations. You might make quote unquote mistakes. Other people might also misunderstand you. You might not always be on your 100% A game when it comes to that, but you still believe in the value of just getting up and doing it anyway, trying again, having grace and compassion for yourself and others, but also being like, okay, but like I didn't meet that standard today. Okay, I give myself grace. Doesn't mean that I can't go back and do better tomorrow, so I'm going to do better tomorrow, like a very balanced, but yet, accountable way of living your life. We also have Peace by Taylor Swift. Would it be enough if I could never give you peace? Interesting for I feel like you may, being, a trailblazer, being someone who is really self-possessed, who is your own person, who doesn't let anything or anyone hold them down, you may struggle at times to find solid connection with others, and that's not to say that there aren't people out there who are for you. There certainly are, if you want that, but you may have people who have dealt with people who weren't at peace with the maybe chaotic, in some cases, path that you've been leading in your life. Like, I was getting the sense that you're someone who, whether, I almost said who's not afraid to, but whether you're afraid to or not, I think you ultimately do what you feel is best for you and what you feel is best in general, no matter what. But you may have made some decisions in terms of how you're going to live your life, what you're going to do, that again might not make sense. So for some of you that could include having a lot of different jobs, moving around a lot, or getting a job and people are like, oh, that's an awesome job, you pay so much, that's amazing, and then you quit it because you're like, well, but I don't want to do it, and people are like, what? But that would have been great, why would you do that? And it's no, because it wasn't in alignment with me, it wasn't what I wanted. I have other ways that I want to live my life, maybe you live a more nomadic life, or you're not really concerned with money at this time, or things like that, where it might, people who have been in your life who might be more settled, who might want a more straightforward path, who might want more straightforward things out of you. Maybe you've been unsettled in yourself with doubting yourself at times, feeling like, well, could I ever be enough for someone if I can't give them a peaceful, straightforward life? If I have to be my own chaotic self and make my own decisions and be such an individualist, can I ever, be enough for someone? If that is you, if you've questioned that, I mean, yes, don't compromise yourself just to keep someone in your life. And I don't think I need to tell you that. Because everything we've been getting in this reading has pointed to the fact that you ultimately don't do that. So you might still have these questions. You might still wonder about this from time to time, or even feel bad about this from time to time, even though you will always just consistently do your own thing. I think you're someone who you might doubt or question. You might feel bad sometimes about yourself, but you still do it anyway. You do the thing anyway. You make your own decisions. You make your own choices no matter what. And even if you have some regrets, ultimately, you are your own person and you're committed to that. And so I feel like this is letting you know that it's acknowledging that, but also acknowledging that, again, you have so much to give. You have so many incredible values. And part of the value of you is, well, I mean, everyone has inherent value. So, don't hang your hat on any, if you decided to settle down and change, your lifestyle tomorrow, that doesn't mean that you're automatically going back on your integrity or anything. I believe, if anything, you could find a way to make any kind of life work. I think that's what you're determined to do. And just because other people might not see or understand that, it doesn't mean that you should change, right? It doesn't mean that just because you couldn't give one person or a group of people what they needed or what they wanted or what they thought they needed or wanted, that you were wrong in any way for being how you are. So this is just a reminder that this way that you have of doing your own thing, of not buying into things that just do not feel good to you, do not feel like who you want to be and what you want to be and what you want to create in this world, that's great. Like, that's not a bad thing. It's not. And no one has to understand this. I think in a lot of ways you're a visionary. You might just not have encountered a lot of people who with similar visions yet, or you might have visions that you've not seen come to pass yet. Like, you're a visionary in that you can imagine things outside of the reality that you've lived in. You might just not have seen that reflected back to you yet, and at the same time, you still keep going. You still keep being who you are, and I feel like you're beginning to get glimpses of that now. If you haven't already, you're beginning to really believe in the future you want to see, in the world that you want to see. You believe that the best is yet to come, so keep believing that, because it's true. It's true, and yeah, it's a good thing to live, to be someone who can live in your integrity, in your values, without immediate gratification, without instant gratification, being able to quote unquote sacrifice, to be uncomfortable in order to bring about something that's greater and more expansive and more aligned with you than the quote unquote easier option, right? And I say this because that is something that I feel like is coming through as a very, very important thing to you, you know? So if this resonates, take that. And it's not to shame anyone else for their own choices in their own lives. It's not to cast aspersions on people who make different choices or who live different lives, but it's more to say that, they've got their own paths, you've got yours, and if this is important to you, if this is what the way that you want to live your life, there's nothing wrong with that. It's incredible and unique. And all the ways in which you are unique, and all the ways in which you don't accept certain things that maybe other people around you do accept, and all the ways that you make different choices that other people don't understand, it's easy for you to feel like there's something wrong with you from time to time. But there's not. Like, it's very cool that you can be such an individual, such your own person. And yeah, it's very cool. And again, like, for those of you who've maybe had, been in situations where you've been controlled, or you've had people try to control you, whether you're a boss or a work environment, family, a relationship, you've said no to that. You've turned your back on that. And that's not an easy thing to do, but you did it. These people might miss you, but that's too bad for them. Like, don't even think about it. Like, nah, bro. Peace and love and healing to everyone. On a broader scale, that's gonna be help. That's what we want for the whole world, right? But like, that's not up to you to worry about them. You got to do your thing. You've got a lot to give. You're changing the game out there. You're a visionary. You've got ideals and you want to live by them. So that's what you got to do. Yeah, very, very nice. Very wonderful. You, just like with all the other groups here, are an incredibly powerful person. And lots of cool messages came through. So I hope this resonated. Actually, before I close this out, one more message, because my eye was drawn to the song on the bottom of the deck, was I'm So Sick by Flyleaf, which says, I'm so sick, infected with where I live. Let me live without this empty bliss, selfishness. So yeah, for a lot of you might have felt like you broke free from some conditioning that was selfish, that was empty, that left you feeling like you weren't living in your truth, that you weren't living a life that was aligned with you, was healthy for you or for others, but you broke free from that. Yeah. And you might have left behind a lot of people who didn't. And that's okay. Keep doing your own thing. Keep doing your thing. yeah, so wow. Well, I hope that resonated. Please leave a comment if you would like, and like, subscribe, all the things. Thank you so much for listening. And if you are interested in a personal reading, we do offer them on our website, sunflowerphilosophy.com. We also offer human design and hypnosis services. And nope, that's it. I did this in the last group too, I think. That's it. So, I hope you have a wonderful life, and I will see you in another reading again sometime very soon. Bye.